Welcome to the Best Today podcast. I am your host, Shantae Grant, and this is episode 189. Today, I'm answering a question submitted by one of you lovely listeners. Let's get started. Welcome to the Best Today podcast. I'm your host, Shantae Grant, creator of the Best Today Guide and owner of the Best Today brand, where we equip women with resources to help you show up as your best one today at a time. If you're ready to trade chaos, comparison, and busy for intentional living, you are in the right place. We believe that intention begins with first knowing who you are and what you want. Here on the podcast, we'll have conversations together about topics that matter to you on the journey of becoming, because we know that being your best leads to doing your best. So welcome to the podcast created to help women all across the globe proclaim, this is what my best today looks like. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to the Best Today podcast. I am your host, Shantae Grant, and today I am answering a question that was submitted inside of the Best Today community, talking about how to maintain consistency and momentum during the week with what you've decided to do at the beginning of the week. How do you ensure your focus is on the results and outcomes you set out? So you start your week, you say, oh, this is what I'm going to do this week. And then as you move through the week, how do you stay consistent and continue to keep a momentum up to actually do the things you said you were going to set out to do for the week? That is the question. If you've ever thought about that, if you've ever wondered if you need help with this, keep listening. If you don't, keep listening, because one day you just might. Okay. So first things first, in case you've never heard me say this, we are all previewing and planning our weeks before it begin. I teach you exactly how to do this down to the nitty gritty with examples in a guide that I've already created. So I won't repeat that here, but we will link it here in the show notes. It is the how to preview and plan your months, weeks, and days. It is a full long manual with examples and mock-ups, all the things you need, using my C-Tone method. And again, you can get that linked here in the show notes or going to besttoday.co/C-Tone, which is the letter C-T-O-N-E. That stands for the method that I teach you. But at a minimum, I want you to know this. At the beginning of every week, so I recommend most people do it on Friday or Sunday, but you have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whichever works for you, previewing the week that's coming up, right? You want to know dates. You want to know appointments, meetings, calls, due dates, projects, things that need to be worked on in this week, not things that could be worked on. I want to be clear. We're starting with this has to be done this week. This is due this week. I have to be at this place at this time on this call at this time. Writing those down first. And hey, if you have a week without those, you better go, girl. Then that's your starting point, is understanding that I have a really open calendar for this week, right? But you want to start at least knowing where the places where someone else is expecting me to be there, right? And then now we have an understanding of, okay, these are now markers because I have to be at these places at this specific time. Now everything in between is time to fill with the things that need to be done. And that's identifying what that is, right? So you want to define, what am I focused on the week? What's the most important thing for the week? All of this is defined in the Best Today guide, and is taught again in that download. Do you have a major project? Do you have something that you need to complete or make a certain amount of progress on? Are you working on something personally for home? Whatever that is, you want to know, what is my focus? What's the focus I have this week, right? That lets you know what may need the most of your energy or your time. And we'll talk a little bit more about that energy next week, in next week's episode. But the energy or time, or at least a designated portion of both those things in your week so that you can prioritize it on your schedule. So if I know what I'm focused on, if I know this is one of the most important things this week, I know at some point, even if it doesn't get the majority of my time, there has to be a time where I have given focus space for it, energy and time, right? So for example, the week that I'm sitting in as I'm recording this, one of the things that is a primary focus for this week is batching podcast episodes. What I'm doing right now, talking to you, right? And that's not just recording, but I write and I record in the same week typically. And so writing and batching and getting these done is something that was a focus for this week, right? Because following this, I have to hand it over to another person on my team. So it has to be done, and it has to be done in time to hand it over to her so she can then do her part and get it over to the editors, right? It's a flowing thing. So I knew that was something I had to focus on this week. And my second focus, because this week I had two, is following our after school routine, because that will help to ensure I am in bed on time every night this week, because this week my husband is traveling for work. And that means mama is doing all the parts, right? The morning and the nights. And so those are two things I'm focused on in this week, which means I'm going to give intentional time to those things and what it takes to get those things done. So when you're previewing your week, once you have an understanding, right, of what's coming up for the week, that helps you now to think about how you're going to plan out your days when it's time to plan your days. And that's when we get to what I call results and outcomes. What are the results and outcomes that you have room for once all the, what I call o'clocks, all those scheduled things are in place? I will always recommend you err on the side of less than more. I will always recommend you err on the side of less than more. I will always recommend that you err on the side of less results and outcomes than more results and outcomes. Because if we listed all the things that you need to do or things that exist that could be done by you, we could go on and schedule out the next 6 months. But that's not what we're doing. We're looking at your week and this week alone, and then we look at the days and your days alone. So I want to make sure we're clear on that. One of the ways you ensure that what you set out to do each week is actually done through as the week progresses is you prioritize that on your calendar, what you will do, and how long you'll give to it and where it will live on your schedule. But also by not putting too many things in that results and outcome bucket or category. So we've previewed our week. You have an understanding of what's coming up, and you've decided these are some of the things I'm doing this week. Now the question is, how do I actually see that through and make sure I'm staying consistent and keeping a momentum? Those are the words that were used, but really I understand that to mean, how do I actually do the things I say I'm going to do? I said on Monday, how do I actually bring it to pass by the time we get to the end of the week? Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whatever that might be for you. Well, first we've previewed our week. Now we're going to go to our days. Each afternoon or each night, when you go down to plan the next day, look at the progress you've made. So the first night is Monday. So the first progress is none because we're going to get started. Where are you prioritizing those results and outcomes in the day? And yes, I understand there are times when the unexpected will happen. I planned to do this from 10 to 12, but my boss came in and said, hey, we need you for a meeting. We just decided about blah, blah, blah. When the unexpected happens, here's what I need you to first do. Determine what needs to be shifted. Okay, so this was something that needed to get done. So now I'm going to move that to this time frame. But I do want to pause to say, I want you to be mindful about whether or not these shifts that need to take place come from something happening unexpectedly that was out of your control, i.e. your boss walking in and saying, hey, we just got this thing, we have to blah, 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 versus, oh, girl, I got unfocused. I start talking to Sally about the weekend, and next thing I know, 90 minutes later, because that is something you do have control over. And so being aware of that, and that's why if you go back to last week's episode, we talk about grounding your day in the morning. Maybe you need to write talking to Sally is something that is not helpful for me, and that doesn't matter today. Love Sally, but today can't talk to her. This week can't talk to her, or we have to set a designated time. I set a 5-minute timer and say, girl, I got 5 minutes. Give me all you can in 5 minutes and I got to go. Okay. But I want you to be mindful, because sometimes we're asking, can you help me with this problem? But the problem really is you and your habits and your lack of boundaries. And so if that's the case, then it's the units that we got to take care of. But if it's the things like the unexpected and the boss, we're just going to, you have to shift it regardless of what. But when you can avoid it by making better choices and having better habits about actually doing the thing you said you're going to do, that alleviates some of that. So I want you just to be mindful if you find yourself saying, I plan to do this, but I don't do it. I need you to look and see what's the cause of that. Is it something that you're doing within your control or someone else's? Because the ones that are within your control, that you have to take care of that. And one of the ways you do that is saying, hey, I have self-integrity. I said from 10 to 12, I'm going to sit here and do this thing. So I'm going to sit here and do this thing from 10 to 12. Yes, this thing just came up. Oh, they just told me they had a food truck outside. Yes, X, Y, and Z. I've committed to this and this needs to get done. This is the only time frame I have to get it done. So I'm going to get it done. Okay. Now, when you're planning your day, your focused results and outcomes get scheduled first. So one of the ways that you can make sure they get done, this sounds really simple, but y'all, I say things that sound really simple and you're like, ooh, that just made all the sense to me. So I'm going to say it, not to insult your intelligence, but to make sure we're on the same page. You put the things first. You schedule those things first. You work on those during your peak performance time, which likely is earlier in the morning. Put the things you say that need to get done first, so that when the distractions happen later, it's like, or the boss comes in, it's like, oh, I'm glad I finished that because look at this. You've already gotten it done. Break it down into manageable chunks and then knock that sucker down. Take it into, okay, there's one thing, but I'm gonna take this one thing and break it up into 4 sections. Today's gonna get a 4th. Tomorrow's gonna get a 4th. Wednesday's gonna get a 4th. Thursday's gonna get the final 4th. I'll be done with that thing by Friday. And I got a little time in case something happens and I need to do a little bit of it on Friday.
At Best Today, we exist to help women just like you be your best one today at a time. So each week on the podcast, we are going to highlight your stories and your voices. So let's see what's in the inbox today.
Today, we have a 5-star review of our How to Preview and Plan Your Months, Weeks, and Days guide from Rachel. Rachel writes, "It's easy to use and thorough, all caps, way to get your life together. This guide is perfection. It's easy to follow and incredibly thorough. There are both explanations and examples for each section. Highly recommend doing a read through of all the pages and then sitting down and working through your month, week, and or days with the guide there to, well, guide you. It really does guide you through the entire process, and each step is key to making planning your life the best it can be." Thank you, Rachel, for sharing your 5-star review. And she is correct. You can get this manual right now. As soon as you order it, it's delivered to you immediately, teaching you how to preview and plan your months, weeks, and days. It includes examples, definitions, mock-ups, frequently asked questions, everything you need to proactively plan and preview your months, your weeks, and your days. You can order yours right now at besttoday.co/CTONE. That's C-tone. You'll know what that means once you download it. That is the method I teach for previewing your months and weeks, and I teach you a different one for your days. It's all there ready for you right now. You could be reading it within the next 2 minutes. We'll link to it also in the show notes today. But again, that is besttoday.co/CTONE if you'd like to download yours right now. Thank you, Rachel, for that 5-star review. The key is, as you go throughout the week, which really means every day, checking in to see the status. What progress have you made on the things that you said you were going to get done? It's really easy to tell. For example, if I need to write and record 5 episodes by Thursday and on Wednesday I have 0 done, I should have caught that on Tuesday that I had 0 done, which should have changed my behavior on Wednesday, right? It's not like it caught me by surprise that I didn't finish by Thursday, or that on Thursday I have to now do everything, because on Monday, if I said I was going to start writing it on Tuesday, then at the end of the day, Tuesday, I can look and see, okay, what's the progress being made? And note, none was made. And no, that has to change tomorrow. Or even better, on Tuesday, say, I have to have 2 done by the end of this, right? That's just an example. Like, you should be able to look and see what the progress is. These things don't creep up on us. It's not like Friday gets here and you realize you never finished the report that was due. You wrote down the report was due. You wrote down the steps that needed to be done, and you didn't do them throughout the week. This is not a surprise, baby. Maybe you didn't check in every day to note the progress, but that should have been written down in your day-to-day. That's why we have the Best Today guide. That's what it's there for you to put step 1, 2, and 3 in your results and outcomes, and do step 1, 2, and 3. So tomorrow you can do 4, 5, and 6. I feel like this is really simple, but y'all tell me if I'm wrong on that, okay? Work during peak performance hours, also really important. When you have the energy, particularly if it's something you don't love to do, you gotta infuse the things that are working for you, your energy, or doing it in an environment that you enjoy, lighting a candle or putting on some music or something, but it's got to get done, right? And the key is to continue checking in each day to note your progress so you can see, okay, this is what needs to happen. For example, this week, I was actually supposed to write and record Tuesday and Wednesday so that Thursday would be free to just work on writing, not for the podcast. But there were things that came up in Tuesday that when we got to the end of the day, Tuesday, starting to batch didn't get checked off. So what did that let me know about Wednesday? That could not happen again. Today is Wednesday and I'm recording this. I've written 2 episodes. I'm recording 2 episodes. And then tomorrow I only needed to do 4, but tomorrow I will do the final 2 in the morning. And I've given myself a cutoff time so that in the afternoon I can then write. I adjust it based on the thing not going the way I wanted because I originally planned it would be Tuesday. But I know the result and outcome that I said I have to have by Thursday at 3:00. I have to pass this on to Veronica. The only way I can pass 4 episodes to Veronica by Thursday at 3 is to write and record 4 episodes by Thursday at 3. So on Tuesday, when I get in and get to it, Wednesday made it more pressing. And Wednesday I did it. And so actually when she gets in on Thursday, she'll already have 2. And then she'll get 2 more before that. And before the end of the day, Thursday, I've already checked off the thing that I said was the most important. I was consistent, even though I didn't go in the way that I wanted to, which was a Tuesday, Wednesday. It ended up becoming a Wednesday, Thursday. And you know why that also works out? Because I didn't cram my week so that Thursday is so full that now I'm stuck like Chuck. I don't know who Chuck is, but you know, it rhymes. Okay. Another component of this is self-integrity. Do what you say you're going to do, even if no one is watching, even if no one is cheering you on, even if no one is holding you accountable. You can be that for yourself because you realize that you are worth keeping your word to. You want to have integrity with yourself first so that you then can share it with others. It starts by practicing and embodying it with yourself. So if you say you're going to do something in the middle of the week, you need to prioritize it. You need to put it on the schedule. You need to break it down. You need to check on it. Look at your progress and readjust, like I had to move from Tuesday, Wednesday to Wednesday, Thursday to get it done. Build your consistency muscle by planning your weeks and your days. Make that a habit year round. Now, how you do it, how in depth you do it might look differently during different parts of the year, but maintain the practice. And that really is going to help you to keep the momentum and the consistency of doing it anyway, because you've gotten in a habit of setting out to say, this is what matters, this is what I'm doing, and then doing it, right? And then remember, I do show you how to do all of this, how to plan your months, weeks, and days in the manual, which is linked below, which you can also purchase. All right, let me know your follow-up questions over in the Best Today community, and we'll keep the conversation going as always. Thank you for being present with me for today's episode of the Best Today podcast. Please remember that you can always submit a question to us by emailing hello@besttoday.co, leaving a voice message at besttoday.co/voice, or coming over into the Best Today community. And if you'd like to hear more from me, I want to invite you to read and subscribe my online publication For Those on the Journey, which is linked right here where you're listening as well. And I'll talk to you on the next episode. Bye for now. This podcast is provided for you every week by Best Today, where we are on a mission to help you to live and work well. We do this by creating resources that bring intention to how you plan, schedule, work, and live. You can get started in one of 3 easy ways. First, by taking our product quiz at besttoday.co/quiz. 2, joining us in our online community, the Best Today community, at besttoday.co/community. Or 3, connect with us through email at besttoday.co/email, all of which are linked below in the show notes. To learn more about our company and what we do, visit besttoday.co and join thousands of customers around the world pursuing a life of intention, one today at a time.